Okay, according to this, the audio does show that it's going out, at least according to the broadcast software. The broadcast software shows that audio is going out now.
Okay, if there's a link, we can have people test it on Slack.
All right, I will get the link for you in 1 second here. Copy. Let me switch over to Slack. Let's see if that link is working right there.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. We're getting things wired up here. All this broadcasting software, YouTube stuff, links all over the place. Getting these people on screen and broadcasting is with good audio is a trick. When you've got people all over the
Jonathan
place.
says he hears us.
Yeah, audio shows that I've got the little meters. The little meters are actually showing that audio should be going out. Little meters.
Okay, let's see. Yes, beautiful sound, beautiful people, says Jonathan.
Okay. And the comments should be working too. They should be broadcasting in the video, but they'll also be to the side of the video. I think it's that side.
Yeah, so the cool thing you have is like you can share your FileMaker screen.
I can. So if we're talking about
this is our second try. Let's rewind and talk about why we're here. Why are we here, Maddie? Why are we here?
Engage.
Elizabeth?
We're doing engage commentary, right?
I still always think of engage every time I hear that.
Patrick Stewart. Oh, that totally just went into my head. Engage.
Yeah. Number one.
Yeah. You've got much more the sort of Jean-Luc Picard thing going on for Trotsky.
Yeah, with the sweet hairstyle. And plus he's so much older than me too.
Streamlined.
Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. You will learn FileMaker.
Is this what we're going to do the whole time? Just like make various sci-fi jokes?
Okay.
Because I'm down with that. I mean...
I'm finished. All right, so you've watched... Have you watched some of the... well, first off, let's get commentary. All right. Nobody likes to bad talk people, but we'll also do the good talk people. So we got to talk pros and cons about everything about this. And I have to say, right off the bat, the communication was a little bad about how to see what you want to see. They did it in two different formats. They are doing it in WebEx, which they have access to through Apple, but they're also doing it on YouTube through a live stream only. And so the keynote, the closing session, and then also the future of FileMaker given by Srini tomorrow, those are all on YouTube only, as far as I'm aware. And a lot of it was pre-recorded, and they're just running the roll. But then the live ones that they're doing are on WebEx, and you sort of have to get to the right link. I don't think they knew, but they figured out afterwards that only the first 1,000 people will be able to see video. And then after those 1,000 people, or that max cap is hit, then the video just starts dropping out for people. So they were probably running around dealing with those issues. But hey, it's a first time on the opposite side, so we can't say, it's their fault. So it's technology.
Yeah, exactly. Look how long it took us to get this working. Yeah, so I think that one of the things Rosemary said about the 1,000-person cap is that when they do post the final videos on the Academy, that you won't have a gray screen. You'll have the legit screen with all of the screenshots and people talking. So there's that, but it didn't make for a very good viewing experience for the folks that came in 1,001 and thereafter.
Right. Kind of good that they have so many people, I think.
Did you guys watch the keynote?
Yeah.
I watched everything except the 3:00 session.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I watched a couple of them. A couple I didn't. I was in the Slack chat, which we should put that up. I'm sure Todd would be interested in that. So it was released by Geist, and it's at Auto Enter, which I have to be honest, the icon, I thought this was a car dealership or something to deal with a car, but it is autoenter.live, and then it dawned on me, oh, auto enter like an auto enter function, but then I was confused by the car, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah,
But
I really like
this
love
was,
that name.
double entendre.
yeah,
Any random little FileMaker checkbox is a good thing. Pause on error is one of those ones too.
and that's where I think they followed on,
Yeah.
because pause did the pause on air, and they're like, oh, we can't do pause, so what's the next checkbox? Auto enter. But this is Todd. Congrats. This was executed really, really well. I mean, Claris should have taken a cue from you because this was so easy to just get on. You just click the little join enter, and then if you're running a Slack client or not, the web, it just takes you right into the environment, into all these different channels for people to talk.
So yeah, and then it enables direct communication to your friends. There's a bunch of different specific channels for people to talk about specific topics. General announcement channel where we actually posted this.
Yeah, so I'm showing that on screen right now. If you haven't used Slack before, it's just really awesome. And we won't go through all the different channels and all the content, but this is where a lot of people are meeting. And you can see right here, they've got 559 people that are in this. I don't know how many of them are live, but it was well done. Well done.
So, what do you guys think so far? So, Matt, did you not watch the keynote?
I did. As a matter of fact, I took notes. I was thinking that we were going to talk about some of the things that were mentioned. One of the things that I kept a note of whether attendance was going up or down. So, for example, right at about 6 minutes in, there were 1,196 people. At about 15 minutes in, it went up to 1303. 25 minutes in, it went to 1341. So there wasn't a whole lot of drop off, which was really pretty cool. By the time we got to the end, which was at 52 minutes, there was 1,353 people watching. To me, that's a pretty good indication of the health of the developer community. I mean, we know that on average 2,000 would go to DevCon, but to have this many people just live and tuning in and staying connected and that number increasing, that's a really good indication of the commitment to this platform. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I wasn't actually looking at the numbers of people, but that's a good indicator. I thought DevCon was smaller than that. Maybe I'm remembering older years when the numbers were edging up from like 1,100 to 13 to 15. But the last couple have been over around 2,000.
Yep.
I think it was 2 years ago or something. They dropped just below 2,000. I think in the past 2 years it has been 2 years prior to this. But I don't know. You'd have to talk to someone over at FileMaker for the good numbers.
So, what are the other takeaways you had? I was a little bit surprised that it was all pre-recorded, although that made it pretty smooth. And that's like when you watch Apple keynotes now, like the WWDC one, they make it look like it's live. They're like, and now we're going to head over to Jonathan to talk about the latest thing and over here, which is kind of silly because it's all pre-recorded, but it still flows nicely, and they definitely had that working.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm on both sides of the fence when it comes to do something live versus do something pre-recorded. On the pre-recorded side, they're just trying to be as professional looking as possible. And they want it to come out, and I think of it as corporate-y. Now, I know that's a negative impression, but I know that an audience also responds to a lot of just genuine, okay, here's what we are and here's what we're doing. And that also can bolster your audience. And it goes both ways. Just depends on the audience, I think.
No, I agree with you on that respect. I think that there's just a weird irony about putting a recorded piece on YouTube live because it's meant to be live.
Yeah.
So I have to register that there's some disappointment that I have about that, but I mean, I guess you could say, well, I don't know how they would go about doing it as a live thing, but then all the panels were live, and those were, even with the audio cutouts, they were still more interesting to me. Maybe I guess because it was live. I can't really quantify it any other way.
Well, I mean, like
Yeah.
from the music perspective, it's like a performance, live performance with all the energy of that
Sure.
compared to a recording.
Mhm.
You know, a recording you can do multiple takes, you can get it polished, you can do all the post production.
Yeah.
And that's going to have, that changes, you know, makes it, I love listening to recorded music, so but it's a different product.
Sure.
Yeah, if I had to
Fair
make
point.
suggestions, if they were going to do something live, I think they should have taken some questions before that were of interest by the developer community, aggregate those, take the top 10 or whatever, and then with regards to like the business direction, things like that would be relevant to the keynote, and then just have Brad and have him come on and address those directly. I think that would have been really on key with a lot of things that you see in current media. You notice that like all of the talk shows, those guys, they went into their house and they're just broadcasting directly from the house. So for whatever they
You're right.
spent on the pre-recorded, they could have set up a really nice in-home live studio, and he could have just been there and you would have felt the realness. Just my
Sure. Well, they
opinion.
did that for Andy. I mean, he was obviously at
Yeah.
home in his lovely studio.
Oh yeah, it made me so happy when Any of the Cates came on.
Dude, I love that guy. He is just
He's the
so
best.
articulate and
Yeah.
just clear, and you're just like every time he's talking, you just want to keep listening.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
well, the genuineness, the warmth, the excitement, you know, that's the thing I really liked about him for the 20 or so years I've known him. Maybe it's more than that. In the community is he's so excited. He's also, remember how he used to be crazy fast talking, like you couldn't even understand him because of how fast he talked.
Huh.
He
He's
slowed it
very
down a little, huh?
eloquent.
Maybe we just got used to it and he still talks the same speed. I don't know. But his brain is just as sharp, that's for sure.
There is all kind of cool banter going on that Slack channel. Whenever a session
Yeah.
was going on, people would be chatting at the same time
Just minutes
about
ago, he was
the
actually
current thing.
moderating a session on like FileMaker, you know, out in the world, the impact that it has out in the world for these, especially for COVID, for a lot of the free donation. I'm not putting it in very, very clear words, but there's these really good mission to have developers donate their time to actually solve public health and other types of problems by coding solutions. Help me describe this better.
Yeah, no
You're talking
problem. I
about
mean,
the join table session or the 3:00 session?
Yeah, the 3:00 session that he was the moderator of. But also there's some general stuff, which actually was also featured very prominently in the keynote.
yep. There's
Yeah,
always learning that can be done about how to do things a little bit more effectively and efficiently and stuff like that. I don't know what objectives they had or what limitations they had, but I think we'll all be learning as we go for this.
right.
I'm reading the comments here. If anybody has any questions here, yeah, somebody had mentioned, David had mentioned that Andrew's keynote was still pre-recorded, and it was just recorded under different circumstances.
And I love that he has a Mac Plus in his background.
I've had one of those,
history.
and I've been meaning to turn one of those into, it's a 512K, into a fish tank.
Fish tank.
But it's now going on 20 years, and it's still in a box in the attic somewhere. Doing a really bad job of that. So
just put it out like it is.
I should.
Somebody might want that. There might be some weird collector out there that goes, "Hey, I think I want that."
I'm keeping that. The 512's got all the original developer signatures on the inside of the case. It's like a cool one.
I have a friend who collects unreleased Apple products. So like when they come up with a demo, he'll find that somehow and has quite a collection of them, or had a collection of them.
Wow. So which sessions do you guys watch? Or which ones did you attend?
Well, I always try to go to anything about performance optimization because there's always something to learn there.
So that was the performance optimization with FileMaker and FileMaker Cloud, right?
Right. So it was helmed by Rick Kalman, and Clay was in there. So it's always good to hear, anything Clay has to say
Oh,
about
definitely. Both of those.
engine that we're all sitting on. So Clay was in it, and I think Lucy Chen and Connor. I don't know if either of you have ever worked with Connor. He's usually at the Genius Bar at the conference. I had an opportunity a couple years back to work on a performance issue with him at DevCon and thereafter. So we built up a nice rapport. But he loves to geek out performance issues. There was another man there, Nick Lightbody, from, I believe he's from England, who talked about he was a lawyer, and so he built a FileMaker system to sort of run his business. But he had a really great quote, Matt, that it put me in mind of something that you and I had talked about before. Try to make FileMaker do as little as possible.
Nice.
One thing at it.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to become a new mantra. But it's a good reminder that, even though once upon a time we thought it was really cool to make these crazy trees of table relationships and this and that, it's so heavy on the system.
Yeah.
I think Mark Richmond from Skeleton Key as well,
he's great.
talking about one-to-ones and his favorite one-to-one relationship stuff.
Yep, I like those too.
Well,
there's that project that you and I were looking at that has just to show a portal on a dashboard, and it's like the way that it was done. It was probably made really simple back in the day, and then they realized that we needed to add a bunch of other things. So now it's like I want the key to match, but also this Boolean field must not match, and the date has to be before this date and after this date, and so you now have five keys to join the relationship. And then, we also want to show the most recent record first. So because back in the day, the relationship itself was sorted, which you should never do under any circumstances. That's right. Yeah. And then the portal was filtered. And then there was like, but we want these other things too. So it's like add one thing. That's basically asking FileMaker to do as much as possible.
Yeah, no,
but those
exactly.
things happen so organically.
We were looking at a Frankenstein, there, it was the arm fell off. Well, sew one on. It doesn't matter if it's got gangrene. We'll just figure it out. That happens a lot. I mean, you guys probably at AppWorks inherit a lot of solutions. I know I've inherited a few through you guys and from some other clients. So
I love that. The best success we've had is taking a Frankenstein solution right as it is and making as few possible changes and addressing things kind of slowly, steadily, building new modules on. It's the customer's familiar with it. There's definitely some problem. Anyway, I can go on that for a long time. Yeah, meeting it where it is has definitely paid the most dividends, I think.
Yeah. So,
Maddie, what other comments do we have? Anything else?
Well, we've got David from You Learn It. He actually mentioned that he thought Klaus's comments about new technology having to have a point are right on.
Yes.
I think this is a topic. I think that was within the panel of the add-ons, if I'm not mistaken. That would be this one. So I mean, this gives us tons to talk about because currently it's a sleeper feature. I don't think there's a lot of people using and adopting. Obviously, it's preview, so things will be subject to change. But we've got opinions all over the place on this. I've heard the gamut from developers who don't think it'll work to developers who are just saying this is the cat's meow. So
you mean the add-on feature as a whole?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hugely great. We you go to AppWorks. There's a blog article, I think, and a video that we have. Being able to take any custom solution that you have and turning that widget into an add-on. So we're going to be converting all of our products, all of our free downloads to add-ons, and actually building a server where you can just open up the connection, browse through the different ones you want, click a button, and poof, it gets added into your copy of FileMaker that then you can add it. So for example, we have a logging system that's free called FMlog, which has a table and then the association to the graph. There's no relationships. It just has a table and then the layout that goes with it and a script to create log records. And then you call the script by just sending a blob of JSON. Well, that's really fast to integrate, but having it as an add-on where you just go, oh, I want to just put this into this other solution, click a button, poof, it's there. That's just so much better. You know, it makes the integration under a minute as opposed to, 5 minutes or 30 minutes.
So I'm going to give a little bit of a promo here, but more from an education standpoint. I forgot I had done this, but for anybody who's interested, I did an article about add-ons, and normally it's through the subscriber page, but it's titled Everything About Add-ons. And if you want to know the technical implementation of how to get add-ons into FileMaker, I pretty much discuss it all in this video. It's free during the whole time that that Claris Engage is running. I will put the link into the chat for anybody who wants to copy that. But the technical aspects of learning how it works aside, we would probably be remiss if we don't talk about some of the aspects. I imagine they're going to change things, but add-ons currently as they stand are a way to get features and functionality in bulk into FileMaker, where formerly you would have to copy and paste little bits all over the place and you would reconstruct something from one file into another file. So now you can do this with an add-on. But currently they have, in my mind, a pretty severe limitation, or they will need to extend the feature set. And that is the fact that when you import or bring in this code, which, by the way, the whole model is awesome as a transport mechanism. This is a way to transport code, make it portable, modularized, whatever you want to call it, and get it into a FileMaker file. But the problem is, if you have multiple developers, there's a real big glaring hole right now that another developer who doesn't understand what the implications might be, when you go to uninstall a module, it rips everything out, and you have no choice of saying what stays versus what doesn't, and there's no control from the developer standpoint to lock that module. So currently, as it stands, it's an all or nothing, so it's a very scary thing for me to use, because if another developer comes in and says, I don't think we're using this calendar module. Oh.
Bye-bye, yeah.
Including
did
all of the
major-
data, by the way.
Yeah,
You just
including all
major
the
Deletes all the
damage to the
data.
file.
bigger nightmare.
Oh,
But I
and
mean, it's just a slightly more efficient way of deleting all those things one at a time. So I mean,
yeah.
It's not. I don't think that's that big of a downside, but it's definitely something that you should be aware of. Because it is a pretty efficient way to do major damage to a file.
Well, David did mention that in that session, and I should have mentioned it. Robert mentioned that they're obviously going to be looking at this. This is a preview feature, and yeah, they know it's a transport mechanism, and versioning is going to be something. What happens when the code is updated? I want to be able to reapply that. Although, again, their ability, here another slight promo, sorry about this. If you're interested in these things, I always am. I cover them. I also covered this, FileMaker patching. Get rid of that silly thing right there. The update tool, if you have not been exposed to that, this also is available during DevCon. This patching is more or less how you go about looking at differences, which in conventional code is taking two text files, seeing what's changed between them, and then just taking just those few changes and being able to apply them. Now, FileMaker is currently doing that with the XML, but how they would apply that versioning within the context of an add-on, that's a lot of code that they're going to have to put in place. I mean, they're going to have to manage the diffs and actually look at what they're going to do to update a module, especially if it's code that's gone into FileMaker, been modified, and then trying to decide what amounts of a subsequent version to apply. Woo, they've got a job cut out for them. That's for sure. For sure. Sorry. I like
No,
the
I mean,
technical aspects.
No, I think you're right. But none of that does anything to reduce my excitement of the feature. I think it's a really amazing and great feature.
Yeah. Are you using it currently?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
when you do client work, have you made files that have features and functionality, and then you're importing and applying that to your solution?
Yes, we have things that are in production systems that are there because we put them in from our custom add-on. So there's sort of two groups, right? So there's the ones that come with the product that are pretty limited. I don't think I played with those, of course, and we spent a lot of time on them in training because I think they're really useful for someone starting up a simple system. But the really exciting ones are the custom ones, the ones that you can get from the marketplace or from a developer. Those are the ones that that's where the really amazing part of it's going to come. And actually, that session you guys were talking about that I was also in, the one at noon, add-ons, open platform, that this changes everything. Mm-hmm. There was some really good points made in there about how these things are changing and the importance of it. And I think it was Todd Geis who was talking about, or it might have been Ernest Coe, talking about like how critical it is that that there be a professional suite of these, and that developers who do this for a living start contributing at a greater rate ideas. Todd made another great point. It's a hard one to hear, but it's a really great one. That a given thing that's hard, like integrating Stripe, not hard, should just be done once. And then from then on, you should just kind of configure it and do it, use that module and run it.
Update it, and make it better.
Yeah, he had some really good things to say. He also said, the more often you run a given bit of code, the better it gets. Not because it happens automatically, but because you're looking at it. So if you use the same sort of suites of code in a bunch of different solutions, you just keep making them better. And then that makes the next solution that much more reliable and easier to do. We for sure have found that. I don't think I'd put it in such clear words that he did. So yeah, that was definitely a great session.
Yeah, there's always cream that that rises to the top. Like I need a custom function for calculating the distance between two latitude and longitude points. Where is that?
You did?
I did.
I've used that.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that when that question comes up from a developer, people will latch on to whatever's best, and that cream will go to the top and say, oh yeah, go over here. It's by Jeremy Bonte. He did it, and it's in his GitHub repo. But everything's scattered all over the place, and I can see that they're trying to consolidate that through their marketplace. But we'll see if that actually happens. Hopefully it does.
Consolidate is one word, and then also display is another word. And I think that's one of the things that Todd was touching on, is that a lot of this stuff has existed in the form of plugins or whatever for here or there, and you can put it on your website, but it's really difficult to find that stuff. And now that there's a marketplace, you can go in and you can search for the kind of functionality you're looking for and see what your choices are, not unlike the App Store, right? So so that has some potentially far-reaching ramifications in terms of just the visibility that developers are going to get for these little add-ons.
Currently it's just I'm on it right now, and it's a billboard site. So hopefully they'll take some cues from something like npm.js. When you go to npm.js and you're looking for anything for, if I just put in latitude here, it's going to tell me I've got 457 packages, and then what popularity is. This is a very techie website, but they've got a little ways to go in terms of, this is just currently a billboard site to get to the point where they make things searchable and usable and really functional, in my opinion. Not to shut down the conversation. I mean, it's a start. That's a plus.
Yeah, we have Carl at our office who's watching. He's actually 12 time zones ahead, so it's like 4:45 in the morning where he is right now, and he's up watching this. He and I have nerded out so much on what our plans are. to be for add-ons, and how this can become an even easier to integrate and even more powerful platform.
I just
So
found
yeah,
out that their search is at the bottom. What an odd place to put a search. So you go to
For
the
the
web
marketplace?
page. I didn't even know. It's at marketplace.claris.com. I go to there, and everything above the fold, as they call it in advertising, is all just like promo pieces, and the utility is completely lost on me. I scrolled all the way to the bottom, and the search is all the way down there. They need to take a look at redoing that, because if I'm looking for something specific, like if I wanted an accordion, yeah, they've got the search right there. They might
I
need to
love that
have
you
their
just look at things and criticize them, just like, hey, this is wrong, fix this.
Well, no,
Right.
I mean, look at that. When you go to marketplace.claris.com, and the first thing you're trying to get a user to do is to use what you're providing, and the first thing I see are 6 things, and none of those 6 match what I'm looking for. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to
I
leave
get
at
it.
this point.
Understood,
Yeah.
Petrosky, but let's turn the diamond for a second. And right now, this looks to me like a site that is geared for getting or attracting participation from developers. Hey, we'll feature your add-on if you do XYZ thing and jump through this hoop or that hoop, right? So they're trying to
I'm
attract
not really
talent,
sure. Yeah,
have some kind of incentive.
I think we've
But
had
I
2 of our
agree with you.
add-ons
As a
featured.
developer, I want to see the search bar at the top. I do. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want this around with scrolling all over. I just want to go right to, and it doesn't have to be a huge search bar. Just put it at the top, make it subtle, and rock on.
Do you have an idea of
Oh.
how to get one featured? Because I thought that was just something they did internally, and I didn't think there was a way to influence it.
I don't know, but I don't have any idea about how they do that. But you and I have both been around the platinum circles a little bit, so there's probably some
Ways.
incentive. But yeah, I'm sure they had a reason for doing this, and their marketing has taken a turn for the better.
Yeah, they got a new marketing person,
That's right.
Britta.
We got to meet her today.
Britta,
That was
yes,
at
we did.
1721 on their video. Just in case you want the time.
1721, when the women
Mhm.
show up, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, we need more.
Do we have any more comments here? Soon Hans is in there commenting. Hey Hansa.
Elizabeth, how great was it when we had our FileMaker meetup that you were doing, and it was overwhelmingly women in the room?
It was pretty fun, right?
That's a first for me for a FileMaker thing open to the world, to have it be like, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 women to men.
Yeah.
I was so pleased.
I'm glad you're pleased too, because I was not expecting that at all.
I wouldn't
had
either.
been trolling a couple of your meetings ahead of that one, just to kind of get a sense of the tone and everything. And it was 90% men, and there would be 1 or 2 women, and they were very quiet. And then we did that video.js thing and took apart the code and put it back together, and there were so many women. Yeah, it was great. Hopefully they'll come back. Oh
yes,
yeah,
I hope so too.
it was fun.
Yeah, I hope do that presentation for other groups. It's so good.
Yeah. You know what? Nobody's actually asked me to. I did it before COVID for my local group, but it was different. It was just more of the typical stand and deliver FileMaker, because we weren't at computers. We didn't have that opportunity to go, here's your little 5-6 lines of code, and you've got these 3 or 4. I would love to do more stuff like that, where we just take some, I don't know, maybe we take some Jeremy Brown stuff and just, throw it on the floor, smash it up, and try to put it back together. He writes some good code.
Yeah, for sure. The weird, mostly COVID is bad. There's so many negative effects for obviously people getting sick, and businesses changing. I just discovered today that a coffee shop close to the office here is forever out of business, which makes me really sad, because I love that place. So, like that. But then there's also like little silver linings of things, like now when we do our meetings, they're just going to be always virtual, and everyone will have a computer there. So there's all these things that we can now do that we couldn't before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wonder if the amount of online engagement, it's sort of like COVID is forcing us into a different mentality where formerly I would wait to talk to a lot of people like until DevCon, but maybe now more virtual interactions will just happen because people have been forced into it. So that'll be cool to see. So comments.
You know, this,
Yeah, comments. We have a question. Anybody asking questions, or should we invite any other people to join the Zoom call, which we're broadcasting?
Yeah, the Zoom. I don't know. Let's see. How long are we into this? 35 minutes that we've been live.
Yeah, I think I'm coming close to my time limit too.
Yeah, and that's a good amount of time. Andre says, how do you attract new people to FM if the tools are outdated? With that, I mean with JavaScript being one of the main attractions, but there is no indentations autocomplete type ahead. Andre.
That's a great question.
Speaking to my VS Code heart, I wish FileMaker had a true integrated editor.
So I can answer that for how I do that, which is the people that you meet out in the community that are interested in doing something. I've been talking to a lot of people who are looking to change industries. And what I do is I invite them to the training classes that I teach and say, hey, you might not want to pay for this, but there's all these other things. They're looking at all these code academies and stuff like that. Come to the FileMaker training, learn along with the other people, and see how cool the platform is. If you make the argument about like this one particular feature doesn't work well because it's not as modern as all those other things, that's the only thing you're going to focus on. But really, FileMaker is this amazing tool that does all these other things, so much that you get for free. In terms of things you don't have to work really hard to build. It handles all the record locking, all the security, and FileMaker Cloud hosting the way we do it at AppWorks is so great on AWS. Make it about that and putting the creativity into your hands. I spent some time talking to this friend too, also about how, as a musician, how it's so much like playing, composing music, because the creativity that flows from all these other areas, you can just synthesize in such a great way. So I would say you get people to the FileMaker platform by emphasizing those aspects rather than focusing on the little technical things that I, along with you, really wish that it did differently.
Yeah.
I mean, off my soapbox.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
The synthesis is really key, right? Because, and I think everyone on this Zoom video has probably been around FileMaker long enough to know that it didn't always do all the great things it does now. But Geist was pointing out in that earlier session about the add-ons that, somebody was saying, why do I have to learn FileMaker if I could just learn JavaScript? Because FileMaker does things better that JavaScript doesn't do as well, or, that it's more laborious. You don't use a wrench to hammer in a nail. So use the tool for the job that you need, but you still need a wrench and a hammer to build a house. You can't do it just with one tool. So we have this great platform that now is sort of sitting at the center of everything that you might want to do. You might have an external data source, or FileMaker might be your data source, or it's going to communicate and translate and send data back out. It's really the Play-Doh, really, right? You can make a little thing out of it, and then come back a little while later and pinch off a piece because it's too fat, or add some on because it's too skinny. And it's not years and years of development to just get that done.
You reminded me of one of the other pearls that he had in there, which was FileMaker doesn't really make the business case for JavaScript to exist. It's like, if you're using FileMaker, it's not like trying to sell you JavaScript, but the reverse is true. Like JavaScript actually really needs FileMaker. as a really good
Yeah.
way to express,
point.
organize, and
That's a really
use
good point.
the JavaScript code when that's the right thing to do something. I thought that was a great point that he made.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting in the coming years. I mean,
Mhm.
if we look at what they showed in the previous DevCon of their FileMaker Next, and then in the keynote, some of the video footage that they showed when they were talking about their objectives as a company. I forgot I had it written down here or something. They showed a little bit. They showed like, I don't know, probably like 10 seconds of Next coming up. And it's in a browser, and it's obviously going to be JavaScript based with drag and drop because that's what they were
Mhm.
showing. I was immediately struck though by everything that we're talking about that we love, the environment that is FileMaker. I just really wonder how that's going to translate if the sense of empowerment is still going to be received from like a browser base. Like I'm really still confused as to whether or not they're going to continue with this native client or
Mm.
if that does gain traction and they really capture the low code market of FileMaker, that they're going to go for that because that's bigger money because there's more people that need, I hate to say it, an Excel like application. Because in my opinion, FileMaker really isn't, and I mentioned this in the Slack channel, FileMaker really isn't a low code application. It's low code in the sense of its approachability. It gets you running because you don't have to know a whole lot. But I think of FileMaker more as a no code, spelled Know. You need to learn to know
Mhm.
how to code, but it starts off really small. And then because FileMaker is so flexible, it adapts as you grow in the amount of code that you know. I sound like
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss here, but
Yeah, it's pretty
that's
No,
good.
the
it's kind of
appeal.
like you're,
That's the current environment. That's not a web browser environment unless they can get all of the features in the current desktop client over into the browser. So I'm like a little bit concerned, but that's
One
just me.
layout, two layout, red layout, blue layout. Sorry.
No, I love it, dude. This is why I like talking with you, is because you're always throwing in the stuff. I'm like Mr. Serious, like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. And you're like, dude,
No,
no, this is funny.
no. I mean, when you throw out a random Dr. Seuss, I mean, we got to latch on to that. Green legs and spam. I think that's how it goes.
Green legs.
something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're so funny. But like, what do you guys think? I mean, you keep hearing about this, the FileMaker Next, and they keep promoting it, that that's where they want to head as a company, and Claris Connect factors into that. What do you guys see happening? I mean, do you have zero concerns or you know some concerns? Like, because if you're spending money on research and development, you're spending it somewhere, right? So if the native client never gets, let's say, they never give you the opportunity to change the size of the text in the calculation dialog box. If I can never increase that from 11 point whatever it is to 15 point because I have to keep reducing the resolution of my screen because I keep getting older and older, it's like, I don't know, maybe by that time I won't care, but I'm like, I want improvements of the IDE that is FileMaker. I'm all for the FileMaker next generation, but I love my FileMaker platform. I love the empowerment. So what do you guys see? What do you feel like based on
Um,
what you're seeing them
I
say?
love it too. And I'm honestly, I don't know if I'm just maybe a little squeamish to talk about it because I don't want to bring it into manifestation, but I don't want it to go away. And, I do see a lot of this move toward let's put it up in the cloud and then just develop in the cloud and you don't ever have to have a client or any of that stuff. And yeah, Matt, how is that going to go if we're just getting rid of our tools that we know to just go develop in a browser ostensibly? That's scary to me just on a lot of levels.
Yeah, but
Because I
yeah,
don't know what it does to the existing knowledge base, but then I also, I don't have the tangible thing anymore.
I don't think I mean, if you had all of the features in the current development environment and they just worked in a browser and they were comfortable and you could do the same stuff, then it's the same thing. I don't think that's where they're going with it. I don't really know. I'm not testing it or anything like that, but I think they're going to start. I would suspect they're going to start with something smaller and make it available to, Matt, what you were talking about, of the huge number of people who just need something that's a spreadsheet, and then build on that.
I guess they're looking for their Airtable version.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a spreadsheet in the cloud that you can do some fun stuff to it. I mean, you can do a gallery view in Airtable, and you can't really do that in FileMaker very simply.
I don't know if they still do, but
horizontal portals yet, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Kanban views and things like that are really easy in some of these other things. Airtable seemed like at one point they were buying a lot of FileMaker keywords to attract people to their platform.
Yep.
So if you did a search for FileMaker, you'd actually see an ad for Airtable.
Oh yeah,
that's very expensive.
Lots of companies were doing that.
Yeah, they were doing it more than most.
True. I'm all for the FileMaker Next if somehow in their marketing or communication I got the message that was like, I'm not getting a message right now. If the message was, we are this development environment and we're going to continue that, but we're going to extend our approachability by adding on this Claris Next. But when you say this is next, I'm presuming that what preceded it goes away. And so I haven't really gotten a marketing message that sort of says, these 20 plus years that you've invested into this environment, we're trying this experiment over in JavaScript. We want to see how it works. And if we start to make good money, we'll jump over there, which, by the way, increases the barrier to entry because having to know JavaScript is a lot more complex than what people know in terms of getting into FileMaker. So however they manage to cross that, it's going to be really interesting. But I want like assurance, I guess, that they love FileMaker as much as I do.
I'd be shocked,
we all do.
Honestly. Yeah, I think it's going to be sort of a second product line, and that they may merge or they may not. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think that's what's missing is there's no message about that. It's not.
Yeah, well no roadmap yet.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to come out with anything yet. It's still early in the gestational period.
Yeah, they're sure thinking about it, but they haven't, not to the point where they can share it yet. Well, and we've seen that before.
They don't have an ultrasound that they can share with the world yet, so they're keeping that under wraps.
It's a boy. So like when they came out with Claris Connect, there was quite a bit of stuff that they left till really late.
Yes.
Before they released it, including the pricing. And then they changed the pricing a few months, after it launched. So there's a lot of stuff that they just keep close to the vest, and I'm not going to fault them at all on that, because I think that's kind of how you have to do business, especially inside the Apple world.
Yeah, true, and Apple's always done it that way. I mean, even though the trend has switched the other direction. I mean, you look at the gaming industry, and they will actually release the game like completely raw and build their audience as that game matures, as they do a dev release and then dev release and dev release. And by the time that they've actually released the 1.0 version of a game, that can be 3 to 4 years into the development, and they're like, okay, we're finally ready. This is what we're calling 1.0. But all along, you've been using it. So I don't know that they're going to do that with this, or maybe that is their plan. But I know we're not in the gaming universe, so.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, do you have the same kind of fidelity with your user base when you go into something that's supposed to be a business automation tool?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
database is
I don't think
serious infrastructure.
I would actually credit them greatly with what they have done, which is actually started to talk about the roadmap far in the future. They came out with things that said like, it was a couple of years ago, I think, that they said, by the way, we're going to be coming out with a Linux version of Server. So just know that that's coming, and boom, there it comes out as a demo.
There it comes.
And they talked about they did a really, in one video they released, I can't remember how long, around a year ago, they talked about some other really, really major changes that are coming. Like a native FileMaker Go for Android. I haven't heard a peep since then, but they publicly talked about it once, which shocked me.
To negotiate, because they're still a subsidiary of Apple, so that's kind of really uncomfortably. And
I was
through those waters as best they can. That one's just going to take a lot more negotiating because it's two big brands.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying I was really thrilled that they actually took the step to talk about it.
That they're at least talking about it and not pretending, oh, we know there's this thing over there, but we're not.
Right, that everyone's asking for and we're not. Yeah.
I guess
this is fun.
Yeah.
Super fun to talk to you guys. Are we going to just do this every day from now, like including after this event's over? Because this is fun.
Sure.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The virtual, everybody's like, okay, let's just get on and record. Just push the button.
Yeah, exactly. And then get more people and send it out to our channels of listeners. And also, it makes me feel less bad about not doing a podcast with you in a really long time, Matt. So
we're going to do that. We're going to need to get on and talk about. We didn't talk about anything once FileMaker 19 came out.
I know. And there's some amazing things.
There are. I'm trying to think of which ones I'm using most heavily right now. I actually haven't. I'm still switching between. I'm in that transition phase. Whenever a new version comes out, the older version of server still only requires a certain number of connections. So I have like 17 servers, so I'll use 18 instead of 19, and so I'm half and half, 18 and 19 right now.
Yeah, that was a change this version though. You can't actually run 19 with server 17.
Yeah.
So in the past they've actually kept 2 version compatibility either direction. I feel like
that was disappointing.
There are emergency exits to both sides, 2 per side, but now there's only 1 emergency exit per side. Oh God.
Don't pick the wrong one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got people that have been chatting here, talking about wondering where the future of FM will position itself, and I'm sure everybody watching the video has seen the chat stream going up. Thank you for those of you contributing, Charles, Peter, all of you in there, Andre. Lots of popular common foreign names in there. People that we see in the FileMaker community. We're a nice tight-knit community. If you're new to the community, then welcome. Join in, chime up, chime in, speak up.
Chime up, fine, sure.
Chime up. I always say new words with you. You make me nervous, Matt. You make me nervous.
How? What?
Because I'm not as quippy as you. You always come up with these wonderful quips. Oh, man.
Hey, you started the whole Dr. Seuss thing. I'm not going to take any credit.
Oh, well, Sam, I think we're going to have to wrap this one up.
All right.
All right.
Elizabeth, I'm so glad you joined us today, too.
Yeah,
well, thank you for the invitation. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. All right. Cool. Enjoy the rest of Engage.
Yes.
All right. So we'll see everybody later. That ends our stream.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.